Okay, we welcome you all. I'm a student for this new subject that we have that we are going to check together. It is the introduction for the master's students, and for this introduction, we are going to teach about the teachings of general epistles. It is the epistles that are some of scholars or theologians are called non-Pauline books. The letters that was written by several writers in that period, but it's not Pauline books because we have some letters that was written by Paul. We have all other letters that was written by non-Pauline, like Peter, Jacob, Judah, and others. And we have also a letter that was written by John that we call Revelation. So by this, we are going to focus on what we call non-Pauline letters. These non-Pauline letters, it is just the introduction that we are going to introduce by this time. This introduction, it is concerning the period that these books was written, and maybe we can also focus on the recipient of the book. And after focusing on the recipient of the book, also we can focus on the message that can be found in general, or the goal of the book. By the introduction, the books that we are going to introduce by this subject of it is a master's subject that we introduce according to Africa Missions Outreach, AMO Bible College. It is concerning the period that if we can remind ourselves for what we have studied for the empty studies, the empty theologies, you can understand that in this book we are going to introduce what happened. If we can relate with the book of Acts and the introduction and the goal of the church after the establishment of the church, the gospel of Christ was spread out of the world according to the plan of Jesus Christ, that he said, you will go wherever the world and preach the good news. You will start by Jerusalem, Judah, Samaria, and wherever the world. The accomplishment and the report of the mission that Jesus has given to his disciples has appeared and well reported in the book of Acts. What we found in these general epistles that we can, as accepted by many scholars and theologians, called the general epistles, that we can find in it the book of Hebrew, followed by the book of Jacob, and after that, or we can call it the book of James, and also we can also come for the book of First and Second Peter, and all the three letters of John, and also finally we found the book of Judah. So these books are called general epistles. It was written in the period that the church was passing under persecution, and it is the period that the church was established by the followers of Christ, as taught by the 12, and as a correspondent followed the 12, like we can call those people who was taught by Peter, James, and others, and they have established the church. In that period, after the collections of Jewish and Gentiles in one church that we call Christian church, the church was under persecution. And when the church was under persecution, the goal was to collect all those ministers and collect them and take them to the church. After that, we can find the persecutors, like the kings of Roman Empire, and also some of Jewish religious movements. They were persecuting the church due to their mistake that they were making. One of these mistakes was that they considered the church like a political movement, or they have accused the church as a political movement, or it was not. And the Jewish religious, they have taken Christian church and accused the Christian church to Roman Empire. And that period is called the unfavorable period of the church, because it was preceded by the favorable period of the church. The period that the Roman Empire was considering Christian church as a part of Jewish religious. But as the Jewish leaders explained to the Roman Empire domination that it is not our part, but apart from that, they are making a political movement to destroy your government. And they didn't present the church like a godly or a divine movement, like a belief of Christianity that believe in Jesus Christ, or they are the followers of God. But they presented the church as a political movement. It was a severe problem of the church in that period. So in that period, due to the accusation of the Roman Empire, most of Christians, most of the church leaders, Christian leaders, they were put under persecution. And after putting the church under persecution, a good number of believers started backsliding. They started backsliding. And this phase of backsliding was the main goal of these authors of these books, to write for this church that to not backslide, or to stay strong in what they are doing, to stay strong, to be strong in Jesus Christ. And this was happened. So we can see that the recipient are both Jewish and Gentiles who want to backslide, and especially Jewish who want to be backslide to Jewish tradition or Jewish religious movements. So all the writers was writing according to encourage them, to be together with them, to understand what they must do, and how they have no need to backslide because of the message of Christ. And this was happening. Secondly, for those who are Gentiles, to understand that the Messiah has come for them, and also for Jewish to understand that the Christ has come to save them. And if they do not receive Christ, there is no salvation for them. So, and also that they had no need to backslide. That was this is the main objective, or the main goal, by the introduction of the general epistles, or the theology that is found here. It is to reconfort, to understand that must be, to understand that God has come, the Messiah has come, the salvation has come, and that Christian must be reconforted. And also it is the book of hope, that we have the new life, we have the hope. We are going for another life. We are going for another country, another city, which is not this one. So this is what we can understand in this book. So next we'll be understanding the first state of the books in detail, from Hebrew to Judah, and then we'll be understanding what is explained the goal of each book, but firstly, I want to introduce the book. Secondly, that the persecution could not discourage the Christian, but in part of that, it could encourage them. And see, for example, the disciple accepted to be killed because of Jesus. They were persecuted and put under death. So, both Roman leaders and the Jewish church leaders or Jewish religion leaders, they tried to disturb the Christians, believers, to go to backslide by frightening them, killing other people, and calling others to go back to the Jewish religious movement that was teaching the law. And this message of Christ was teaching the grace of salvation. And it was the contradiction of the message of Christ. So the law has passed, and then the grace has come. And nobody will be saved because he respects the law, but everybody will be saved because he submitted himself to the grace. That was the message that was given. And it is one of the repetition of all these authors in these books. So we need to exhort our students to understand what is the message in this book and to explain others concerning it. So when you follow this message, I think it is the introduction and the first week assignment that you will pass through, and then you will put down your comments and tell us what you think about, and it will be helpful for you. So your comment will be the first week assignment in master's class in African Missions Outreach. So we praise God for that. Secondly, it is the book that encourages people not to backslide. So you can see, for example, in the book of Hebrew, the author is repeating the subject such as, if today you listen his voice, do not harden your voice, but come to him. So it's repeating the Psalms. Is reminding them the Psalm. Don't backslide. If you listen his voice, don't harden your heart. That is it. And next on that, it's also a good message of strengthening the present church as we are passing through this period of COVID-19 and the period of persecutions, the wars there and here. We can understand that it is the good period to reconfort believers, to keep Christ in their hearts, and that when Jesus can come back to found the faith within Christians. So this is what we want to introduce for you. So the recipients are not the Jewish today, are not only the early church, but it is you and me to understand what Christ is needing for his message. So I praise God for this and welcome all of you to understand the message. The second major problem after persecution was the problem of false doctors introducing themselves into the church secretly. And most of those false doctors was some kind of Pharisees and another group of Greeks, people from great Gentiles movement that we call philosophers from Greek. They entered the church and using their philosophy to destroy the mind of believers, that they cannot go forth for what they have believed, but to go astray from what they have believed. And it was very dangerous for the believers for that period. So, and it's the same problem that we have today, that we have many false doctors. They are entering the churches secretly, and they want to seduce the believers, that they can go astray from the good news that they have received, and destroy the mind of believers, that they can understand the contradiction of the salvation. They are teaching their traditions, their cultures, they are teaching politics, they are teaching other subjects that are not conformed to the Bible, and it is disturbing the believers. So it is the second major problem in that period. They were destroying both the followers of Christ, or the disciples, or the apostles. They were destroying the apostles or the followers of Christ by saying bad things against them. Secondly, they were destroying also the messengers and the message. Two things. They were destroying the messengers and the message. These are called false doctors. So they were destroying the message of Christ, and also they were destroying the messengers of Christ by using their philosophies, by using even some tools to kill them, and by frightening believers that they cannot follow Christ, and showing that the message of Christ was false. And this kind of people that we call the destroyers or the false doctors, and we still have them by this time. So I want people to understand, or I want our students to understand, that we have false doctors and true doctors. I mean false teachers and true teachers. So if you are a good follower of Christ, you must be a good teacher that teaches the truth of the Bible, that teaches the salvation, the mercy of God to people, and that we are not worthy, but our weakness is found from Adam up to this period, and that we get salvation by grace through Jesus Christ. Only that, and we have no other formula to teach people by this period unless the grace of Christ. And this was the second goal of these books, to teach people about them and to be very severe against false doctors. So if you understand, as our student first, it is the invitation to class to subscribe, to like, and to comment, because to show that you are present in the class, because we don't have any list, and there is no class representative who will write your name. So you only subscribe, you comment, and you like. And it is not a business, but it is a classroom. So we need you to do it and come back for the class, because we need to use this oral method in order to assist our students to understand what we are speaking and what we are teaching. So it will be easily explained to you, and then you will be easily responding to the message that we give to you. So we praise God for that, and we need all of you to understand, and you give your assignment back by commenting what you understood, by also asking your questions. So your participation in the class will be the first week assignment, that you have followed the video, and also you have commented and you ask questions. So you follow the video, you comment what you understood, and then you ask question where you don't understand, and then we go forth for the introduction of Hebrew by the next session. May God bless you. Praise God for that.